Good morning. It's Bank Holiday Friday, but then every day is a bank holiday at the moment, isn't it? So not much different. I want to continue thinking about God and randomness. And I think there is a problem here in that many people, and in fact many of my brothers and sisters in the Christian faith, think that there's some kind of contradiction between God and randomness, whereas I'm trying to say that God is within and ruling through randomness. I think for many simple-minded people, there's a complete contradiction between the two. When we talk about God, we think of purpose, and when we think of randomness, we think of something without a purpose. We think of one as being mechanical and the other one as being personal, and so on. I think for the simple-minded, whether you're a simple-minded atheist like Mr. Dawkins, or a simple-minded Christian like many of our creationist brothers, there is a complete opposition between the will of God and chance. Whereas what I'm trying to say is that God is behind and in all chance. Luck and God are effectively pushing in the same direction. They're not opposites. I think part of this problem has come from the modern study of probability, which began with looking at the simplest possible kinds of probability, tossing of coins, heads or tails, roulette wheels, or rolling of dice. And that's where the mathematicians started in their study of chance and probability. And you can't blame them, because you want to start somewhere simple. So they cut down the dimensions of problems of chance to the very simplest. But unfortunately, this has created an impression that probability is simple, and that the study of chance is basically the study of simple games. In fact, the mathematics of coin tossing and dice rolling have come to rule the whole study of statistics and ruined it, as far as I'm concerned. Because in reality, randomness is fiendishly complex. It takes quite a lot of technology to turn something into a simple problem. For tossing a coin, you have to produce a perfect cylinder of metal which falls equally on both sides. That requires some technology. A roulette wheel is incredibly hard to machine accurately and place so that there is no bias in it at all, and so on. So simple randomness is very hard to create. We live in a world of complicated, very complicated, multi-dimensional randomness. It's fiendishly complex, except I'm going to say it's divinely complex, because God is behind the complexity of this wonderful universe. So most things in reality have a huge number of causes. There is not a simple chain of cause and effect. Almost everything interesting sits in a network of cause and effect, which is almost impossible to disentangle. And to the Christian, God is in all parts of it, everywhere. God is behind every part of reality. God is hidden in every part of reality. So when Paul goes to Athens and preaches to the philosophers, some of whom had a great love of mathematics, he says to them, he quotes to them one of their own poets: God is everywhere and in everything. In him we live and move and have our being. And Paul says, even your own people, when they think about God seriously, know that. So why do you think about gods in such simple little ways? As I said, today the simple-minded are attracted to the science of statistics. In those days the simple-minded were attracted to philosophical simplification. In both cases we miss out on the God who is in all of life and in all of the complexity of life. So God and randomness are not opposites, They are two ways of looking at the same world. So this is enough philosophy. It's time to read the Bible, and I'm going to read from Psalm 139, a well-known psalm about how God is everywhere and in everything. You have searched me, Lord, and you know me. You know when I sit and when I rise. You perceive my thoughts from afar. You discern my going out and my lying down. You are familiar with all my ways. Before a word is on my tongue, you, Lord, know it completely. You hem me in behind and before, and you lay your hand upon me. Such knowledge is too wonderful for me, too lofty for me to attain. Where can I go from your presence? Where can I flee from your spirit? If I go up to the heavens, you are there. If I make my bed in the depths, you are there. If I rise on the wings of the dawn, if I settle on the far side of the sea, even there, your hand will guide me, and your right hand will hold me fast. If I say, surely the darkness will hide me, and the light become night around me, even the darkness will not be dark to you. The night will shine like the day, for darkness is as light for you. For you created my inmost being. You knit me together in my mother's womb. I praise you, because I'm fearfully and wonderfully made. Your works are wonderful. I know that full well. My frame was not hidden from you when I was made in the secret place. When I was woven together in the depths of the earth, your eyes saw my unformed body. All the days ordained for me were written in your book before one of them came to be. How precious to me are your thoughts, God! How vast is the sum of them! Were I to count them, they would outnumber the grains of sand. When I am awake, I'm still with you. Now the psalm goes on for a few more verses and says, well, since you're that kind of God, why aren't you doing what I'd like you to do? But I'm not going to deal with that. The psalm is very much about the omnipotence and the omnipresence of God. And then he says, well, why aren't you dealing with all the bad guys? Why aren't you sorting life out? But I'm not here to answer that question or even try and think about it today. I just want to look at the first part of that psalm that says God is behind the complexity, particularly of our lives, of our speech, and of our being formed in the womb. Now it seems to me that that formation of the poet's body in his mother's womb is the case study in the way in which God is Lord of complex systems. The more we try to understand the process of taking a fertilized egg and it becoming a human being in the womb of a woman, the more we realize we're dealing with an amazingly complex phenomenon. There are a massive number of environmental and chemical factors that we don't understand. Even our genetic makeup, the whole business of sexual reproduction, of the chromosomes separating, splitting, joining, and sometimes being chopped in the process as well, means that your genetic makeup is an apparently very random event, but God was there as it was happening. So your genetic inheritance in itself is an example of God and randomness effectively working the same thing. And then of course how that cytoblast from the fertilized egg settles in the wall of the woman's womb, that can have, there are physical things going on there which seem to be random. The nutrition and the environment of the mother during those 9 months, the medication she might be taking, all kinds of things we don't really fully understand go into the making of a child in a womb. And so it's a very good example, isn't it, of a very, very, very complex system over which God is Lord and in control. And what I want to say today is simply this, that complex processes, complex systems are thoroughly indwelt by God, so that the end result of all that randomness is God's will. And that's true in the past and in the present and even in our future. God is with us in all of the apparent randomness of life. In fact, I shouldn't use the word apparent. God is with us and ruling in the randomness of our lives. So that's all I want to say today. It's not God or randomness, it's God and randomness. And this is the world in which we live. And it's a good world for all its problems. Well, God bless you today, and I hope this meditation helps you a bit further forward in your walk with God. Bye for now.